Friends like this, who needs enemies? Okay, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Job. I have great friends. Shout out to Doug and Stephanie and Juan and Zach and my son Judah, because I dealt with the depression and sadness of my eldest, my daughter Lily, leaving by forcing my next oldest to be my best friend. Whether or not that is healthy for him, that's fine. That's his trauma to deal with when he's an adult. Right now, I'm dealing and working through my childhood trauma. I have to help him develop his trauma so he has something to work through, become a better person later, right? Isn't that what they say? It's character building. That's what they just say, right? It's character building. With that, I also then don't want to be remiss. I want to thank my bestest friend of all time, my wife, my beautiful wife, Brandy. She's been there with me for like 53 years. So thank you to her. I don't think it's actually been 53 years. I'm 41, so it's probably not possible. But you spend a month with me, live with me for a month, and then tell me if you don't want to start doubling the amount of time based on what it felt like, rather than the actual what it was. So, thank you, best friend of 53 years, Perception, Brandy. I want to talk about Job for a second, and his friends. Hold on a second. I'm actually, dang it, I looked at the lights, I'm blind. I can't see. Now I can't talk about Job. I have to talk about Paul being led. I did it again. I looked at the light again. Okay, let's talk about Job for a second and his friends. So his friends, his quote unquote friends. So Job, if you don't know, Job spells his name Job, but pronounces it Job. So we can already kind of tell he's a bit of a special guy here. And his friend, he goes through hardship, right? So stop laughing. Stop. Very bad. He loses his wife. No, he doesn't actually. That's kind of the moral of the story. So thank you, babe, for not being like Job's wife. He loses everything but his wife, who he is probably the one thing by the end of the story he wishes he had lost. So he loses his wife again. He loses his kids, his wealth, his house, like everything. Satan basically is like, whoop, you get nothing. Now curse God. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to curse. He literally curses his own birth. He's like, when I plopped out, I should have just died. Curse the day that I continued living after being born. Rue the day, as it were. So he's having a really bad time. He's going through 25 midlife crises, except they're actually everything bad is external. Everything it's not a good day. It's not a good year. It's like the opposite of It's a Wonderful Life. Okay, everything is actually bad. So he has some friends come over to encourage him, and they basically are like, yeah, you're being cursed by God. You sinned. Come on, Job, just admit it. Admit it, buddy. You used to be at the top. You were the better one of all of us. But oh, how the mighty have fallen. You sinned. Admit it so you can then be healed and go on and get back to life. And we get to be better than you. Woo, woo, woo. That's essentially what they say. They said it slightly more Shakespeareanly. And then a young guy is like, I'm young and you guys are old, which back then that was a good thing. Now it would typically be a bad thing, right? But he's like, I'm young, you guys are old, so I shouldn't have, I wasn't going to say anything because who am I to say anything? But you guys are dumb. He's like, you guys taught me that old people aren't always smart and wise and honorable because you guys are old and you're dumb. And I'm young and I'm pretty sure I have something decently wise to say. So he says his thing, and then Job says some more things, and then God says some things, and kind of slaps them all down. But then at the end of it, Job then says a smart thing, and his friends don't, and so then his friends have to offer sacrifices, with Job kind of acting as the priest. So sacrifices to God, not to Job. And so they had to eat some humble pie. So they're here to basically gloat and be like, see, Job, we're better than you. We knew you'd fall one day. You thought you're better than us. And then they had to offer sacrifices to God, and Job had to actually kind of intercede on that thing. So that's really funny. Anyways, so we get to the end, and everything, he's blessed again with everything. And I'm not gonna lie, I spent so much time thinking of the intro to this video, I forgot to come up with a point. Okay, we're gonna go with the mental health angle rather than the theological angle. So, be kind, be nice. You don't know what your friends are going through. If you are there to support your friends, but really you're a little like just kind of happy that like, oh, you know, her life was always seemed better than mine and now she's going through this divorce or insert any other tragedy. I'm going to be there for her, but you're actually there just to kind of gloat so you can like, you feel kind of happy that it's kind of bringing you up on that social rung a little bit. You suck. Like for real. Like, deal with your own. I was joking about the trauma before, but like you have actual trauma. Go deal with that crap. You're a terrible friend and not a great person. This idea of like the church gossip sewing circle, right? And it's like, or coffee. We had to shut ours down here years ago because it got to the point where like it's just so negative and everything's just tearing people down, and it's just an opportunity for the righteous to get to come and show off how righteous they are and how pharisaical they are. And then the others just get beat up and chewed up, and then you're like, you wonder why there's no new growth. And it's like, yeah, we'll get, a couple times a year we'll get a new person, but then they end up like, I don't know, they don't really stick around. I mean, I think small churches are pretty notorious for this. Like, be nicer, okay? Take an example from Job's friends. That's not what Job needed. Job needed some encouragement. And God gave it to him. He said some other things too. So often we want to be like, told you so, or I'm going to be there to show you how you messed up. Let's be kind and encouraging. And on the other side, yes, we do still need to, iron sharpens iron. We got to call our brothers and sisters out. But there's a point there like brother and sister. That's not just, I don't know. I guess the whole point of this, I'm getting off. But my point is like, if you do a better job of being kind again, and I hate the word nice. Nice is foolish. Stop being nice. I think the best thing he ever did was to convince church people to stop being kind, which is a fruit of the Spirit, by the way, and to start being nice. Nice is a stupid worldly term that is a garbage value, and kind is a fruit of the Spirit. So stop trying to be nice and start being kind. If you're like, well, Jared, what is the difference between those? That's a whole nother video. You can go study that on your own. But nice basically means foolish, and kind, you show kindness to people. Any more explanation of that, feel free to go look it up online and do word studies on those. So I'm here to say, like, chill out. If you need to tear others down that much, if the gossip of like that other church is not doing well, or this other person, this thing happened to them, and you're like, oh no, of course we're gonna pray for them. Yeah, I feel bad, but you actually get a little tingly inside. There's something wrong with you, and you actually probably should see a counselor. Yeah, you need to work through some of that.